Some lawyers are threatening to sue our president, Donald Trump, because of the fact that he has been blocking people on Twitter who happen to criticize him or disagree with him. Now, keep in mind that Donald Trump has 2 different Twitter accounts. One of them is the POTUS account, President of the United States. The other, of course, is his personal Twitter account with Real Donald Trump or Donald J. Trump. I don't know what it is anyway. And so his personal Twitter account, which he does use to make official statements pertaining to government, governing, the White House, et cetera, et cetera. If anyone writes anything negative, he will immediately block them. So case in point, Holly O'Reilly, who was blocked after tweeting a Trump GIF, meeting with Pope Francis. It was an awkward meeting, so that GIF went viral. She tweeted to him, boom, blocked. And then there was Joseph Papp, who was blocked over the weekend when he tweeted about Pittsburgh after Trump mentioned the city in his speech about the Paris Climate Agreement. He included the hashtag fake leader and then was blocked, right? And so the argument by these lawyers is, look, this is a form of speech. The criticism that Donald Trump is receiving on Twitter is a form of speech. And as a result, by blocking these individuals who happen to disagree with him, he is violating their First Amendment right. Now, when it comes to free speech, keep in mind that private companies can retaliate against you if you say things that they don't agree with. However, the government cannot. The First Amendment protects you from any retaliation from the government over your speech as long as it doesn't incite violence and doesn't go against a few of the exceptions that the First Amendment, The
big takeaway for me is what a wuss the president is. He's blocking people. He blocked Holly O'Reilly, the most powerful person in the United States, in the world, couldn't handle a GIF, so he blocked Holly O'Reilly. Just what a wuss bag that can be that affected as to block someone for something that petty and little.
You're missing the word, Brett. It's a snowflake thing to do. The thing that's tossed around. I just did a video on it last week. It was tossed around nonstop from the mouthpieces on the right, Hannity, Tammy Lauren, whatever, throwing it at left. People on the left who
intentionally missed the word.
I get it, but it's just like
not to say it.
It's time. Yeah, it's not even a good insult. I stated this. I'm from Scotland. I've heard things way worse. Yeah, make snowflake look like a compliment. Trust me. But this is such a snowflake thing to do when you cannot handle someone sending gifts to you. It's probably the same thing that would come from a guy who would stand up in front of military personnel and talk about how he has had it hard and how he is the worst treated politician in the history.
I did a video about that.
You did that?
Yes.
Give him a quote. Aside from, people were being assassinated. Oh yeah, racially discriminated. Nah, it doesn't matter. I'm the worst because people are holding me accountable.
It was the Coast Guard though.
Yeah, all right, that doesn't, they never got up to anything much.
So the people behind this issue include the Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University. They have not filed a lawsuit against the president yet. However, they have notified him that he's potentially violating the First Amendment and maybe he should unblock these individuals. Because keep in mind, Sean Spicer just said, that Trump's Twitter account is considered, and what he tweets on his personal Twitter account is considered official statements by the President of the United States. And so if he is using social media as a way of sending messages about what he's doing to the people, and then he blocks people, well, they don't have access to those messages anymore, right?
Unless they start a new account, which will be the counter argument. You can start a new account, you could be Holly Riley. I don't know, you could change up whatever and start a new account. So you still could have
Holly
access
Biley
to
or
it.
something.
Which means that in 20 years from now, looking back in the history books, Covfefe is going to be an official statement.
Yeah, well that's what this is all about. And that's what's very important here. We just talked about Kamala Harris going through all these weird contortions to try to get an answer out of someone, and they're all speaking this language that they're speaking because we hold those individuals accountable for what they say.
That's right.
However, the president has gotten to this very magic catch-22 moment where he is both held accountable for certain things he says and wants you to hold him accountable for certain things, but the next thing he says, he doesn't want you to be held accountable. And while Spicer says what you quoted, the head of his social media department will say it's just social media. And that's why things like the decision about the travel ban are so important legally. And I think in this environment, the dominant strategy is to be certain that we take everything he says seriously and just say, listen, man, we don't know what to do with you right now because you're speaking in code to your fans and pissing everyone else off and then saying, I was just joking. What we're gonna do is take everything you say seriously from a legal standpoint, and you're going to have to deal with it.
Right.
Because there's no other choice.
Well, federal judges certainly have taken what he says on Twitter seriously, which is why he's failed to implement some of his more questionable executive actions like the travel ban. So look, on one hand, his behavior on Twitter can be destructive and he's made enemies out of allies as a result. But on the other hand, he does continuously put his foot in his mouth through his Twitter activity. And it's just always funny because he has no problem dishing it out and criticizing people and antagonizing people, but he can't handle a GIF.
I know.
He can't handle a single GIF that might be critical about him.
Membership helps fund the Young Turks. You know one great thing about that? That means we're not accountable to anyone but you guys. That's why we're strong together, because we built this show around you. Come build it even bigger and better at tytnetwork.com/join.